when in Rome, you know the saying. And let's go there now to find, of course, Gigs Kgonamotse Kgole. And of course, let me tell you who he is. If you don't already know, he's an artist, practicing, his craft as well in Italy, born in Kutupu Village in Limpopo. But back in 2017, a year after his first solo exhibition, he received a prestigious presidential scholarship to study in Rome. That was where he had his very first solo showcase. And in 2018, Kgole then became one of Africa's youngest gallery owners at the age of 21. Now, his next eNCA exhibition is coming up in Monaco this year, and he joins us live now from Rome to tell us more about it. Gigs, thank you so much for your time, and good morning from this side of the world. Not sure what time it is from where you are, but thank you so much for making time for the SA Morning. I think before we get into your achievements, I mentioned that you are from Kutupu Village in Limpopo, but tell us a bit about your upbringing and how it influenced your love for art, if at all.
Thank you so much for having me this morning. It's quite an early, chilly morning on my end. So I grew up in terms of Kutupu Village, I grew up in a village setting in this Kukuni area. And then just growing up in this Kukuni area, my sort of influence around art was really kind of around the woman and the women around me, in the sense that from the moment we would go down to the river to collect water, and then from that practice of collecting water, also as well as like the practice of insulating our hut houses, I used to just learn about like textures just from looking at how my grandmother would process sort of the cow dung, and sort of then with the cow dung sort of like create these textures on our stoops and molapeng. And then the older I got, I started realizing, like, I've kind of then had masters and artists in my family who didn't know they were artists, and I was slowly learning from them.
So with that being said, I mean, is that background reflective in your art? Do you feel a responsibility to constantly pay homage to where you come from, your upbringing, your people, your country, your continent? What themes do you tackle, I suppose, in your art?
I very much feel so. I feel like in terms of like most of the themes I've been tackling in the past years have really been around like awareness and telling untold African stories. Just recently, about 2 years ago, I did a solo exhibition and a group exhibition, which was then curated by filmmaker Eva Dubine. And so it's Say My Name. So this was the show was based around Black History Month, but in the sense that I wanted to then touch on the topics that I wanted to really kind of highlight around the world. And so I created this one piece called Bushielo. And in the piece itself, I have my grandmother as the muse. And as she's the muse, it's the title on top is Save Our Mothers. And Save Our Mothers in the sense that I was highlighting the gender-based violence that we're going through in South Africa and we're still going through. As well as the femicide issue that we're going through in terms of the world. And as well as what was happening regarding the Black Lives Matter. Yeah. And so like highlighting all these people who were sort of victims against crime, victims against brutalities around the world. How do we as young people sort of tell these stories and then sort of talk to our peers and talk to our mates, and how do we make a difference through the channels that we have, the industries that we work in? And then so in my market, this niche market, this art market, these are conversations that need to be had. It's not all about pretty pictures and fun times. So it's real topics and real challenges that we need to tackle as a community.
So you would say that your art is your activism?
I would very much say so. Yeah. My existence, my art, and I guess my belonging in this world.
Yeah. And I think it begs with our question, why you were then selected, to receive this prestigious presidential scholarship back in 2017 after your first solo exhibition, I understand, Gigs. But you better to tell us how the scholarship came about and what impact and significance it's had on your art.
Right. So coming from a village setting, I got into high school by getting a full scholarship through a program called SSP, which is a South African program called the Student Sponsorship Program, which then allowed me to then gain a secondary education from grade 8 to matric. By the time I ended up in matric, I realized that all I want to do for the rest of my life is produce art and become one of Africa's world globally recognized artists. And then in doing so, I also want to uplift my village and as well as put South Africa on the map. So now explaining that to my father was quite a difficult feat because you know, I'm a village boy who's coming from generational poverty. And so I'm seen as the first person in my family who's then passed matric and then is going to obviously get a secondary education. But now I want to paint. So it was always this running joke because my dad was so upset that, oh, when you go fetch a matric and then draw the bopai. And then having to explain that to him, but having to explain that the reality was I wanted to create art and go into university, but the reality was I couldn't afford to go to university, but I had this talent of creating works. So I then I had applied for universities all over the world, Duke University, University of Stirling in Scotland, and then this university in Rome called John Cabot University. Unfortunately, all the scholarships are pretty much 40 to 50% maximum. So realizing that I can't even cover university tuition fees in South Africa, how am I going to cover internationally? So I went into my art career, and then after my third solo exhibition, after just turning 19 to turning 20, the university in Rome had been following up on what I was doing in South Africa. Right. And then with the show that I had at Everard Reed, they then opened up a new global scholarship, realizing that, you know, not a lot of people from third world countries can afford to pay the 50% that an American private university in Rome, Italy is offering. Right. So we need to start a global scholarship called the Presidential Scholarship. And then I was the first recipient of that. And then the scholarship has then gone to be received by other students in other African countries as well as South American countries.
That is amazing. And to know that you, at 21 back in 2018, then were dubbed, you know, the youngest African gallery owner, and now you have another exciting exhibition coming up. Gigs, tell me all about it. What exactly will it be called, and what will it include and feature?
Right. So I'll be coming back to South Africa in a few weeks, and we'll be opening up an exhibition called Good for Nothing. So this exhibition will be taking place at 27 Boxes at Denzel and Joe's Gallery. So the show will be opening up on a Sunday. So I want to have it as like a Sunday chillers exhibition where it's open for the public. Information about the show is all over my website, my Instagram. And it's just pretty much my surname. The show is a show that I'm curating that's featuring young South African artists, which I believe in and have a story to tell about a moment in their life where they were dubbed good for nothing. So that's what brings together the four artists. The artists are Franz Talker, Natim Bata, and then Zoya Sibia. So these artists are sort of young Black South African artists who, in a stage, we all have a similar story where we kind of had to sort of fight against explaining to our family, explaining to our friends about that, about like the passion that we have, the love and the energy that we want to put into the world, and how can we change the world through our artworks, and having to explain to them that, you know, it's not just what we're creating is not just Limpopo, this is a legacy. Right. Just like right now when I'm studying art history in Italy, it's more of to understand why world art history is important and how can I be a leader in terms of writing African art history and putting forward such giants like Jared Sokoto, which a lot of young people don't even know that we have masters like Jared Sokoto in our art curriculums, and sort of also put down masters in our current generation who are doing such amazing works internationally as well as locally.
That's exciting. My only warning is don't make it too good in case we get addicted and want it every Sunday. But thank you so much, Gigs. I wish you all the best, especially with the upcoming exhibition and, of course, your future endeavors. Kgonamotse Kgole, artist and gallery owner, joining us this morning. Thank you so much for your time.